Hello again, my name's Gabe Zollner. Well, I caught a little bit of Fox News and they had Julie Bandera on, and she was talking about Boko Haram, and she said that a deal is in the works. Yeah, a deal is in the works, and nothing's been solidified yet, but a deal is in the works. Apparently, Boko Haram would like to free some of their members that were captured. And they're talking about negotiating a trade for those schoolgirls. You know those, what was it, 350, 400 schoolgirls? How many months ago was that they were kidnapped? What, 4 or 5? Do you think any one of them is even remotely sane after what they've been exposed to? Do you think there's one of them that hasn't had their genitalia mutilated the way the Islamic Muslims like to mutilate women's genitalia? Why would Fox News be talking about a trade of these girls when these girls have got to be on the verge of insanity? I think it has to happen first, because they all have to be medically examined. You know what's interesting too with Fox News? I don't understand the fascination for all the talking heads. You start off with Cavuto. Now he does the business aspect, which is okay. Then you got Shepard Smith. What does Shepard talk about? Well, he talks about current events. Then you got Brett Baer that talks about the same thing that Shepard Smith talked about, just with his own twist. Then you got Greta Van Strassen. You know, and then she talks about the same thing that Brett Baer talked about, which is the same thing that Shepard Smith talked about, but she's got her own twist. And then you got Megyn Kelly. Well, actually, you got Bill O'Reilly, and he talks about the same things that Brett Baer talked about, Shepard Smith talked about. And then you got Greta. And after Greta, you got Megyn Kelly. And Megyn Kelly talks about the same thing that Greta talked about, the same thing that Bill O'Reilly talked about, the same thing that Brett Baer talked about, and the same thing that Shepard Smith talked about. And then you got Sean Hannity. Well, what does Sean do? Well, Sean talks about the same thing that Megyn Kelly talked about, who talked the same thing about what Greta talked about. And they talked about the same thing that Brett Baer talked about. And they talked about the same thing that Shepard Smith talked about. So when you analyze it, what are we really getting? We're getting the same thing regurgitated over and over and over and over and over, with their own little unique twist. I don't understand how they can have such high ratings. Well, I guess each one of the talking heads has a certain following. But, come on guys, are we being brainwashed by them saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again? I think we're being brainwashed. And typically, what messages do they send us? And I've made videos on this before. What they really do is they give the left a platform to spew their garbage. That's what they really do. There's no reason for them to have guests on like Juan Williams or like Ellen Combs. What do they bring to the party that helps the Republicans? Nada. They don't bring anything. And that Bob Beckel, he's an ignorant bore. That's what he is. But hey, I guess it works for the 5. Having a jackass like him spew the garbage that he spews. What it really comes down to is that's what Fox is. It's a platform to spew a whole lot of left-wing garbage. That's what I sort of think. Let me know what you think.